Hey everybody, this is Steve Yasukawa with my critical review of Black Girl, You Are Atlas. Spoiler alert, I'm going to highly recommend this book to be part of your high school library collection. It is amazing. One of the best books I think I've ever read in my entire life. So this is Renee Watson. We'll get to some of the awards, but so she has written a number of books. Piecing Me Together has received a Coretta Scott King Award and Newbery Honor. So she's written picture books, she's written novels for teens, and I have a list of so many awards. Many of her books are inspired by her experiences growing up as a Black girl in the Pacific Northwest, Portland, specifically Portland, Oregon. Her poetry and fiction center around the experiences of Black girls and explore themes of home, identity, body image, and the intersections of race, class, and gender. Okay, so Black Girl, You Are Atlas is a collection. So this is not a novel in verse, although there are definitely poems connected to each other throughout. It's a collection of 38 semi-autobiographical poems that can stand on their own, and they also build off of each other. Watson uses mostly free verse, but also haiku, odes, prose poems, a pantoum, a tanka, and an ethary. A pantoum, you can look it up, is a poem of any length composed of 4-line stanzas in which the second and the fourth lines of each stanza serve as the first and the third lines of the next stanza. These are, I feel like, the most complicated poems to write, and when they are done well, it is poetry at its finest. It is so amazing. A tanka is a 31 syllable poem, usually written in one single unbroken line. Often, the more popular one that we see, though, is a 5-line, 5-7-5-7-7 syllable count form. And then an ethary is 10 lines. The first line has 1 syllable, the second line has 2 syllables, third line has 3 syllables, all the way up to 10 syllables. So there's some exploration in form as well. So back to the collection, just as adolescence is not just one experience, the collection dives into many different pools. Although clearly specific to the Black female experience, Watson makes every poem in the collection relatable. I am not Black. I am not a woman. I am not a Black woman. I am not from the Pacific Northwest. And I saw myself in so many of these poems. It is like both a balance of such an experience, intersectionality with so much universality. So some of the pools that I mentioned that these dive into, I have them bulleted here with the specific poem names to go under it. I'll have some examples of them. So pride is one of the areas, family, grief, growing up, and then the idea of a Black girl's burden versus a Black girl's power. So kind of experiencing that balance and imbalance there. Again, all these titles here, I'll have some examples of, but use as a reference. All right, so this is an example of another element of the book, which is the illustrations. So Akua Holmes did the collage illustrations for these poems, and they're beautiful and gorgeous and really connect with what the poems are. These are not made in isolation. This is clearly a dialogue between them. So the illustrations help to add some depth and dimension to each of the poems that are already deep and multidimensional. So lots of reviews. The late and beyond great Nikki Giovanni endorsed it, loves it. It's a Horn book, starred review. Publishers Weekly has great things to say about it. School Library Journal, Kirkus, Book List. I mean, everyone's singing praises. It's so good. In terms of awards, so this year it's won the Walter Dean Myers Award. From Bank Street College, it won the Claudia Lewis Award for Best Poetry Book for Older Readers. Check out this list; that's amazing. It got an award for excellence from the ALSC and YALSA, and the Fantastic Critics got book honor book. And if that's not enough for you, these are all of the other accolades it has earned. Not just has been awarded, but it has earned. This book is legit. Black Girl, You Are Atlas has not been challenged as far as I could tell, but Renee Watson did write Ways to Make Sunshine, which did get challenged in Tennessee as inappropriate for all the same reasons why we've read and heard and can assume that books are getting challenged. It was overruled. Everything, it was definitely allowed. The challenge was not removed from the library. It's all good. Okay, so one of the, again, universal themes in here is all around the psychosocial development. So identity versus role confusion, interest, values, and goals in terms of who, like, the speaker in the poem is, role confusion for the speaker, and almost like an entire collection of people as well, feeling directionless, feeling like you're transitioning between childhood and adulthood, trying to define adolescence, but only being able to feel it and not really identify it. An example of identity: windows, mirrors, and sliding glass doors. This is part of one of the first the first poem, Where I'm From. I'll let you read it. Pause as needed. This is that ethery, again, connected to identity. Pause to read. All right, role confusion. So this is the title poem, Black Girl, You Are Atlas. This poem starts with a definition of Atlas, which both addresses the Titan from Greek mythology, and as well as the book as a collection of maps and information. So the idea of the Black girl is the one who is supporting and holding up and keeping everything together, and also directing and a reference point. And yet, like, Atlas is like all alone when doing this. So metaphor is clear, metaphor is not subtle, and yet the metaphor is so good. So important, such an important part of identity. This can also apply, if not only to Black girls, but if you think of the Disney movie Encanto, you have the immigrant experience where the oldest child is the one that's the strongest and doing all the translating and supporting. Like, this is a very like Louisa kind of approach. So many identities can connect with this: windows, mirrors, or sliding glass doors. For role confusion, this is the idea of moving from childhood to adulthood. There are poems that start, there's a poem from turning 7, then up to turning 17. They are not directly after each other. They're spread out through the collection, but you can many people can read this in one sitting, so you can see the connection between them. Turning sweet 16, but what if I want to be sour? Again, like the burden that she feels from turning 17, that role confusion, still trying to figure it out. It's exciting, it's terrifying. Again, I wouldn't want to read these in a timed presentation because I would want to be able to slow down and hit every word. So just pause and read. I encourage you to read them aloud. So many strengths in this, and any quote unquote weakness is so minor, but the length of it, like, this book is like a centimeter thick. There are 38 poems. um, in addition to having the collages. So it is a very manageable book. It almost feels like it's a diary or a journal. There are 81 pages. The language in it it's not overly poetic. It's not like GRE level words or SAT prep. It is an everyday vernacular um, that many people can access. If non-native English speakers can access it, because the language is very familial and familiar. The themes in there are so universal to the adolescent experience. The tone in it is just so authentic, again, to the development, because of that relatability. Like, this is just a collection where it's just like windows everywhere. Mirrors everywhere. Like, yeah, windows, yeah, sliding glass doors, but any reader is going to see themselves in these poems. Okay, if I had to pick any areas of growth, which is really hard to do, there's no table of contents. And for a collection of poems that's not a novel in verse, I think it's can be really helpful to be able to go straight to specific poems over and over again. I mean, I have my copy dog-eared in so many different ways. If this is a library copy, I feel like a table of contents could be really helpful. A glossary, not for any of the vocabulary in there, but for the poetry forms. If you think about like the elementary school book, Love That Dog, there are the novel in verse, and then Love That Dog has the original poems that, like the Red Wheelbarrow, that some of the other poems are based off of. And then there is a glossary of poem forms. So I think that could be really helpful, because when you see Tonka or Ethery, that's kind of getting into like the elite poetry language. Not that the poems do, but just some of those words. And I don't know. It's such a deep and personal collection of poems. I feel like an afterword could be really helpful. Just like hearing from the author a little bit more, as it is. It's just a collection of poems. It's much more than a chapbook. Like the collages, the illustrations, the every page is a color page. Like there's so much that goes into publishing this to make it beautiful. Uh, but it it is it could add a little bit of depth just with an afterword, just to hear from the author just a little bit more. Um, so yes, highly recommend. Representation, intersectionality, nothing sexual in there, intersectionality. Different poem forms, the idea of collage, Black history, women's history. This is like February, March, April, everything in there. Black Girl Magic Club, something that's relatable, speaks to a group. This is a book where I could, like, if I were an English teacher, I could teach creative writing and use this as the mentor text. Where I'm from, repetition, the pantoum, the haiku, there are multiple haiku in there. Like, it just gives an example of so much that makes you want to write. It makes you want to become a writer, to play around with it. And again, it's so compact. It's like less than a centimeter thick, 81 pages. So very accessible. Absolutely. Buy everything, promote it to art teachers, promote it to creative writing teachers, promote it to just ELA teachers in general. This is a fantastic collection. So enjoy. Happy reading.